Grab some coffee, a Mountain Dew, maybe both. A storm is brewing. The Brainstorm. Welcome to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.
Welcome to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. We're here today, and all of you, wherever you are, whether you're working at home or just at home or you are actually in the office, we're all dealing with a situation that none of us has actually probably dealt with before. I'm here with
Not my lifetime, anyway.
Yeah, I'm here with my co-host and colleague Michael White. Good morning, Mike. On this morning that we're trying to make the best of the worst.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the case here, man. It's but there's opportunities in every challenge, right?
Right.
And so there's an opportunity for everyone to continue to advance, to get better, and we'll all come out the other side of this thing. Some of us, unfortunately, might not come out the other side better because they don't adapt. And so we'll talk a little bit about that today, but the idea is to adapt, overcome, and press forward.
Yeah, so the subject of our show today is just how to be prepared. And I know that most of us that are working at home and sitting at home, we have gone through our social media feeds a couple thousand times a day. I know that social media usage is up well over 50%, which was already an amazing number, right? It was already an amazing amount of people that was looking at social media on a daily basis, and now it's well up from the normal percentage. And so as I look through some social media news, I guess, Mike, I'm seeing a ton of businesses and organizations is coming out and offering suggestions and offering help.
That's right.
And so, sometimes when you listen to a ton of different voices, you can end up being more confused than you were before it actually even happened.
Yeah, that does happen.
I know someone that's real close to us gave me some advice years ago. It said, listen, you can listen to a bunch of different people and seek wisdom from a bunch of different people, but one thing's for sure, only listen to one voice at a time, because it will confuse you if you listen to a bunch of different voices. I'm not saying that should be my voice or your voice, Mike, but just find out who it is that you want to seek their wisdom and try to understand, and probably just listen to that one voice at that moment. You can listen to another one this afternoon or whatever the case may be, but listen to that one at the moment, because some of the time you can hear two different things within the same statement almost. So today, just kind of navigating Wonderland, if you will, navigating the work at home, navigating what's going on with your business through this crisis, social distancing. You go to the grocery stores, all the toilet paper is gone, all the eggs are gone, milk's gone. I mean, it's like a snow day in South Carolina on turbo, if you will. So, I mean, everything is just gone. People, there's no traffic on the road, though. That's one good thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If you do have to travel.
Yeah, really, it's wild to drive down the road and
right.
A distance that would normally take, say, 30 minutes is taking 12.
Right.
And it's really very weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to call it.
So let's talk a little bit about this crisis and crisis management and just how to make sure that you're prepared well for your business. Mike, what's your thoughts with all of this?
Yeah, Matt, everybody, especially business owners, are puzzled. They're trying to figure out how to navigate this thing. How do we move forward? What's our new normal look like for the foreseeable future? And just like Alice in the movie, Alice in Wonderland, there's a lot of people wondering a lot of things. They're wondering how they move forward. How do they navigate this Wonderland that we called it? And if you're interested in learning a little bit about what our plans are, what we've learned, you're in the right place.
Right. So once you break that down for us, Mike, kind of give us what our, we put in short-term and long-term type of crisis management plans. Break down for our viewers and our listeners what our remote work life looks like.
Yeah. So, we have a lot of these plans that were already in place. We certainly didn't anticipate everyone having to work remote. However, although it may never happen, a crisis like this hopefully will never happen to us again in our lifetime. You never know when a building might shut down, when when a company might be buying a new building and they sell their current building or their lease is up, and there's a period of time where they're in between,
Right.
where a building might have a natural disaster, it catch fire, get hit by a tornado, and so it's wise to always have plans to execute, to not just work remotely, but to keep business flowing in as many, under any foreseeable circumstance that could happen.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Mike, because you're not only just saying because of this particular crisis that we're
right.
in, but a remote work plan is good because just your business could be affected at one moment in time, right? We're not talking about everybody's business in order to have this plan. We're just talking about a business could have this issue.
And there's, especially when you look at larger organizations, I think there's somewhere 15 to 20% of America's workforce already works remotely in some capacity. You've got remote sales folks that work out of a home office, or a lot of them will joke and say their car or their truck is their
Right,
is their
office, right?
Or they're on an airplane and they're going out of town every Monday morning, and they don't come back until Friday afternoon, and they might hit 3 cities in that process. So they're kind of living in a suitcase at a hotel and on an airplane. And then you have those who just do whatever their function is right from home.
Right.
And so the good news is there's plenty of people that have gone ahead of you. If this is new territory for you, know that there's lots of people who are doing this on an ongoing basis, and they're thriving, and they've found ways to address all of those, all the little issues that could arise from working remotely. The reality is, when you're not used to working remotely, it's just new. You have to adapt. Just like someone who's working remotely would have to adjust if they went back into an office environment where there were lots of other people around. They're going to have to navigate the challenges associated with that. And so we've got our kind of plans in place, and and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we proceed. But yeah, don't be afraid to continue to press forward and know that you can succeed at working remotely, whether you have a team of 2 or a team of 200.
Right. Yeah, one of the main questions is productivity when you go to work at home. I know we ask the same question, right? I mean, at least to ourselves. And productivity is the biggest issue because of disruptions and distractions that you might have at home, like my dishes is dirty and my bed's not made and my clothes are not clean. While I'm working at home, I can kind of get all those things done. And all that's true. You actually can still get some of those things done that are distractions that might free you up to but you also might not have to take a full hour lunch. Your people might be still working through some of that. I mean, I think there's kind of a time for adjustment when you go from working in the office full time to working at home full time for a short time, right? And so I think those first couple of days you're probably going to have a little bit more distractions than you will
you gotta
over
figure it
time.
out.
Yeah, you kind of have to figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm seeing. But one of the questions that people have really is just simply production. Will our team be able to produce at the same level?
Right.
And so I think that's where some of our plan that we'll go over in the next segment, I think some of that might actually help some people.
Right.
Because we thought through all of that, right, with our leadership team. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll be right back in just a moment. Navigating this crisis, navigating the Wonderland. You're listening to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Welcome back to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. We're glad that you're on air with us today from our radio show. We're glad that you're listening to our podcast if you're not listening to us on radio, and we're glad that you possibly are viewing us via video. So thanks for joining us here on The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Today we're talking about kind of navigating Wonderland, if you will, navigating the unknowns, a little bit of crisis management, just putting together a plan that enables you to have a better understanding of how to put a plan together for something like this. Mike, right before break, we were talking a little bit about kind of our plan, a little bit about what we're doing, and we'd love to pass on kind of our personal experience and the experience of working with 400 plus clients that we do, and what some of those folks are doing. Of course, some of them are doing the exact same thing we're doing because we implemented our plan into their plan.
Right.
But that's what we do. We make sure that our clients have a plan, and we're hoping that we can help you navigate these waters and put a plan together for your business. So, Mike, talk to us a little bit about our remote work plan, if you will.
Yeah, so when we started to realize that, hey, it looks like it's time to put into action kind of our plans, we really got down and started thinking about the details of that plan. And so we had a meeting with our team. We pulled everyone that was available together. We remoted some folks in who were out of the office already, whether they had already gone remote,
Right.
or if they were out of the office on sales appointments or in between appointments. And we rallied the troops.
Right.
And
Our
we
leadership
put together,
team specifically.
That's right. And we put together a plan. So before we did that, we had a leadership meeting, and we began to build out and detail out kind of our remote work kind of document or plan,
Right.
and making sure that we had all of the things in place that were important to help and critical to helping us keep business flowing. I'm not going to say as usual, but as usual as humanly possible.
Right.
And so, now that people have been deployed and they're at home, one of the things that we recommend is you get there and you establish a work environment. When you're at the office, most people have a dedicated workspace.
Right.
They have a place, whether they use one monitor or 14 monitors, their computer, their phone, a desk space, notepad, pens, lighting, whatever it is that they need to be effective throughout their day.
That's a really good point, Mike, because so that's kind of one of the pieces of advice that we went over in our leadership meeting, and one of the pieces of advice that I just personally completely ignored. And I can absolutely tell you that over the past couple of days, I've been extremely uncomfortable. I went to my dining room table. Well, that didn't work for so long, right? I went to my kitchen table. That didn't work for so long. My back was hurting me so bad. I finally had to go sit on the couch, and that didn't even work because you find out you kind of slouch and laying around, and then I'm going to tell you that this is much needed. This is much more needed than you might think that it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It also kind of establishes a mental trigger that when you're in that place, you're in work mode.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned earlier, Matt, in our first segment, people get distracted with laundry and walking the dog and, I Love Lucy's on or whatever it is in the background.
Yeah, the dogs are extremely happy about this whole work from home situation.
Yeah, they're the winners. They're the big winners in this situation.
No doubt.
And so replicate your office space as best as possible, but know that it's not the same.
Right.
How you operate when you're in the office is going to not be exactly the same as you operate.
Right.
You're not traveling there. So another thing that we really encourage our team to do is establish a consistent routine. So they currently have a routine, or they have a routine when they're coming into the office. They get up, hopefully they shower.
Yeah, hopefully.
Eat breakfast, whatever it is they normally would do before leaving for the day. Then they arrive at the office, and there's a routine there too. Put lunch away, say hey to everyone, fill up their water bottle, whatever it is, and then get their day started. You need to establish a similar routine at home. So get up, take a shower, put on clothes, get dressed like you're going to work. I know we've seen reporters and columnists that speak on different news stations where maybe they have a suit on up top and they have like boxer shorts on underneath. I wouldn't recommend that.
Right.
But you just need to feel like you're in work mode.
Right.
And putting on clothes that you normally would wear to work is as a mental trigger to help facilitate that. And so then make sure you take breaks. When you're at work, at least in our environment, our team is in a very open environment. So there's a lot of collaboration. People will stop by other people's desks. It's like there's little mini water coolers floating all around the office.
Right.
And so people are telling jokes or sharing a story from the day before or collaborating on a client, account. And so find ways to build those same things into your work day.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
really important. And then eat and hydrate.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
Also, I know that we created kind of a work from home calendar, if you will, right? And so that's worked really well. We've decided we have a ton of different software solutions. Our team is using GoToMeeting and Zoom, and there's a bunch of other options out there. They're all good options. We chose those two specifically for ourselves and our clients. We just felt that was the best solution for us. And so what we did is created a calendar. We have morning meetings. We have division morning meetings like creative, client services, video, things of that nature. And those different department heads head those meetings up, and they kind of assign their tasks, their daily tasks, their priorities, their rocks, if you will. And so there's each person's having 3 to 7 that there should be assigned each day. And then that afternoon at 4 p.m., our entire group is jumping back on, and that's at a whole. That entire organization is on a Zoom call, if you will, a Zoom video call, where we're actually personally seeing each other, and we're going through different kind of accountability of those types of tasks to ensure that the productivity that I mentioned earlier stays sustainable. And so we want to make sure that that's certainly taking place. And then throughout the day, we use Skype here in our office, and so we're Skyping each other. We're also having some other video chats and some video calls as well. I know, Mike, that I find that when you just have a phone call or a Skype call, it's a little bit different when you actually get on a video call. When you get on a video call, I think you're much more focused. You can't be not looking at each other, things of that nature. So I think it calls your focus a little bit better. So I would highly recommend that anybody that's listening or watching, if you're needing to do a work from home, then make sure that you put in some actual video chats as well. We're doing them with our clients too, so we can have some actual face-to-face meetings with them.
So as a communications firm, we know that video is the most powerful form of communication beyond true face-to-face engagement. And so video in this sense actually allows you to still be face-to-face, and it's where it doesn't replace truly being in the room together.
Right.
It's about the next best thing to being in the room together. And when you got a team that their routine is to be in an environment with other people and collaborating and meeting together, having lunch together, just doing work together, you need to keep that as active as possible while you're working remote. And so maintaining communication and connections, it's just critical. Yes, it keeps people accountable. It helps keep their attention during those calls. We've all heard about people who say, "Oh, I can do that. I'm just going to be on a conference call," which pretty much is saying they just have to be logged in, and no one's monitoring if they're actually participating. So the meeting's probably not that effective.
Right.
But it's really also about just making sure that people continue to see each other.
Yeah.
Because people get lonely when they're used to being around a lot of people and all of a sudden they're not, especially if it ends up being an extended period of time.
Yeah, no, that's also a good point, because a lot of people are like, "Oh man, do you offer work from home? I'd love to do work from home." That's just a good theory, but over time, that really sucks.
It wears a lot of people out.
And so we actually have a number of people that work here with us on our team that used to be work from home with other firms, and so they came to work with us because they actually wanted a team environment. They wanted collaboration. They wanted a friendly face, someone to help them, encourage them, and push them, and actually even hold them accountable, which I know certainly that those afternoon meetings is just that for us.
Another thing, Matt, that's really important, it was important for us, and it's likely important for a lot of our viewers and listeners, is access to the files that you need.
Right.
And so most organizations have a server of some sort. We have a VPN set up and some other tools, so that way our team, which happens to have to move back and forth and manage rather large files. These design files, video files are significant in size, and so we had to make sure that we had a solid system set up to transfer those files back and forth and keep business flowing again as usual.
Right. No, that's a good point. That's very important, because we also not only is accessing the server, years ago, we made the decision on a just in case someone needed to work from home or go see a client or go on a work trip or whatever, even go on vacation, we made the decision that everybody would have laptops. And that was an excellent decision because I know of a number of companies who just had to go and spend a significant amount of money buying everybody laptops in order to prepare for this whole work from home situation. Yeah. I'm certainly glad that we didn't have to do that. We had made the decision early on to go to laptops, and it was a very smart decision, especially looking back.
Oh yeah.
But over time, even without crisis, it's when you go somewhere, you should take your computer in order to have it just in case someone needs you to collaborate, or a client has a question or whatever have you. We believe that we're never off. We believe that if someone has a question, we need to answer it. And so that's how I know that's how we operate. Hey, listen, and you're here with us here on the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike, and we're going to come back and talk about some opportunities and how to maintain those. Thanks for listening. Hey, welcome back to the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Again, today we're talking a little bit about navigating this crisis, navigating Wonderland, if you will. So I know a lot of people are just as confused, Mike, like you said earlier. I think you used the analogy of when Alice got to Wonderland, and so there's a lot of confusing going on. Matter of fact, I saw the cartoon one on television the other day, and
really,
it can be very confusing now. Years ago, it was great, right? Everybody understood it, but it definitely can be confusing, and that's probably about as confused as a lot of people are. While at the same time, people are just getting tons of different messages and things like that associated with what to do in this crisis and how to be productive, how to work from home. Well, we're living this directly with our business. We having our folks work from home, and so we're here just to share with you just a little bit of our personal experience. Now we want to go into how are we continuing to generate opportunities, and I know that's really tough. We have some really small businesses, clients. Some of them are like chiropractors, for instance. No one's coming in, right? We have massage therapist places, right? Nobody's coming in. And so some of those places are really, really hurting, and they're going to be hard to generate new opportunities. But we have some ideas for you that we'd like to share. So I know we're going to go over some marketing and advertising, like how to continue to communicate and generate revenue for your business. So Mike, talk to us a little bit just about marketing and advertising during this types of crisis, if you will.
Yeah, Matt. So I think the first thing is making sure that you keep communications wide open and flowing with your existing customers or prospects that you already had in your funnel. If you're kind of a B2B salesperson, or if you have routine customers that come into your retail establishment or your restaurant or whatever it is, you need to make sure that communications are continuing to flow. They know kind of what your business operations look like today during this time period.
Right.
How to reach you, what your hours are, if you've had to adjust the way that you serve them. Certainly if you have people coming in and out of an establishment, whether it's an office or a retail store or restaurant, for the most part, people have modified that. And even if they're in location, they're probably not inviting many people in just to try and do the whole social distancing. Practice.
Yeah, so, no, that brings up a really good point. It's even when in regards to keep the communications flowing, because it's probably even more important now to communicate more effectively and efficiently and timely than ever before. And communication has always been the key to success. And so now is the time to make sure that people know how to do business with you. How your products or services can help solve an issue that your customer base might be going through.
Right.
And so just positioning and crafting those messages and communicating them twice, 3 times, 4 times as often as you have in the past. Right? Like an email might have been good for once a month. It might be better for like once a day now. Right?
That's right.
Like you want to communicate for multiple purposes, for the purpose of you communicating with them and for the purposes of you helping solve a problem that they might be enduring at this moment.
That's right. A lot more people are staying put now.
Right.
They may be going to the grocery store. They may have to go to the pharmacy. They may have to go out and pick up, a takeout from a restaurant. So, but they still aren't in the road. They're not doing the things that they normally would do. And so there's a lot more people at home with a lot more kind of flex time on their hands. And for the most part, because we live in such a typically distracting world where we have lots of things stroking our senses all day long, from billboards to magazines to lots of interactions, in an office or in our store, and then and picking up kids from school, whatever it is, sporting events. Now people are kind of parked at home.
Yeah.
And so it's a great time to reach them through some mediums that at a higher level, like you said, email. People are going to be probably a little less scrutiny on how many emails am I going to read today.
Right.
They're looking for some type of interaction.
Right.
If you want to reach them in their social feed, people are spending a lot more time on social media right now, even more so than normal, because they're sitting there, whether they're homeschooling their kids or they're trying to work remotely. The reality is, people are looking for engagement, and they turn to those tools for that.
You're right.
Some other things, people watching more TV, especially around news. And then beyond news, they're looking for something to get their mind off of the what ifs.
That's a good point. So they're going from news, live news, which there's a lot of it going on right now, to streaming television.
That's
really
right.
kind of by appointment television, if you will. So they keep bouncing between the two. I agree with you. They're going from news to take your mind off news, to back to news, to back to take your mind off news. And so now's a good time for television to run that. And on top of that, I know that I got a number of emails from some of our reps with some of the TV stations around the country that we deal with, and they're all offering excellent pricing right now to try and help the nation's small businesses, which employs well more than 50% of all the employees of the nation. And so, I mean, it's a good time that if you have the ability for a couple of things, if you have the ability to take advantage of those things, then now's the time to do so.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is this thing will come to pass.
Yeah.
And we're resilient people. Humans in nature, by nature, are resilient. We overcome. We adapt to make sure that we get to press forward. And so this is really a blip on the radar. And it's really an opportunity for all of us to learn how to be better.
Right.
Again, and what we're seeing is that there are those organizations, those businesses that were really prepared, that oftentimes we're looking to 2021 already,
right,
or 2022. They're preparing for the future. They're planting seeds and crops for the future. And then you have the opposite of that, which is organizations who are just looking to Friday,
right,
and the following week, and they're living literally similar to the paycheck to paycheck mentality. And we know that building a successful business is really about proper preparation, laying the right foundation, and part of that foundation is having a crystal clear and executable communication strategy, and then being able to adapt that strategy when things like crisis occur.
Right. I agree. Video, you were talking about television, and you were also talking about like social media and email and communication. Video is probably the most consumed type of medium or media that is being consumed today.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so pre-rolls, post-rolls, things like that, video, even casual-based videos. I mean, some of our telephones have some of the best cameras out there, right? And so it doesn't have to be a professionally produced video.
Especially right now.
Especially right now, to get your message out there to your both current and prospective customer base.
Yeah.
Right? And so now's the time to produce, talk to people, communicate with people, so on and so forth. But that's a great way of generating some new opportunity that you might not otherwise been able to produce at this moment in time, right?
And maybe it materializes now. Maybe it doesn't materialize for 3 more months, 6 more months. But you're going to need business then, and you're going to want to make up the ground you may have lost.
Yeah.
And so the reality is everybody is in a similar situation. So it's not like just your business is on hold.
Right.
But it doesn't even have to be on hold. What we're saying is keep pressing forward. There are people out there ready to do business with you, no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. No matter what industry it is, and even though they're sitting at home and what could be a crisis scenario, we're going to get past this. You're going to get past this, and so be planning. Be planning on what happens next. Right. I know that the economy has tanked over this particular crisis. If you're in a crisis where it's just affecting your business in the future, the economy might not be, and hopefully won't be as effective as it is broadly, right, as it is right now. And but that doesn't matter. We need to make sure that what you're doing produces revenue for your business and doesn't depend on what everybody else in the entire world is doing and going through at that moment in time.
That's right.
Right. Which comes to like B2B. B2B selling is probably one of the hardest things to do in a worldwide epidemic or worldwide crisis that's going on, because that's the last thing you're doing as a business. The last thing people are thinking about is spending money as a business. They're looking at trying to protect what they already have, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to protect their employees, their payroll, their bills, but if you're smart, now's the time to be thinking about strategic planning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Matt. I'll tell you what, and in the attempt to hoard, the nuts,
Right.
and put them in the tree or whatever for winter, ultimately it's self-sabotage, because if you stop planting, you stop preparing for the future will dry up.
That's a good point, man. That's a really good point. Hey, we're going to finish this thing up strong in our fourth segment. You're listening to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hey, welcome back to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. We're here just talking about navigating this crisis and navigating this situation that we're here right now. But we're kind of spinning it a little bit about not just this particular crisis that we're here that we're in and experiencing it today, but any particular crisis that could affect your business, whether it's today, next year, or hopefully never, but 10 years from now, right? And so a crisis is a crisis, and crisis management is absolutely needed. And sometimes you need help with that. Sometimes you need help with understanding how to operate from a non-biased, but still an emotionally associated group, right? Which is what we do. But there's other firms out there that do the same thing. But I would highly recommend that you engaging someone who has some experience in these types of crises, and that can help you navigate these waters, right? And so we're producing a little bit of content for you today. There's a ton of content out there, and we're talking specifically about how to generate some new opportunities. Right before break, we talked about consumer service type businesses. We're going to talk a little bit about B2B and how to generate some revenue right now. And so, Mike, right before break, we were talking about now is the time to make sure that you have a really, really good strategy for times like this, right? And so talk to us a little bit about some things with the B2B world and how to maintain some revenue and generate opportunities.
Yeah, so even though people are at home, the world has not stopped spinning. The world is still spinning, and people are still needing to move forward with lots of things, especially those organizations who actually are already prepared, whether they already had remote work in place or to a large point, or if they're just organizations that are humming along. In fact, some industries are thriving during this. And so don't think that the entire world has just completely stopped working. In fact, they may not be working may not be working in the same fashion. They may be working at a different location. They may actually have a little more availability, a little more time on their hands. So it might actually be a great opportunity for you to reach out, especially to prospects that you've been, going and calling on for some time, reaching out to them and engaging them or re-engaging them and getting conversations going. You can hit them with a video a video text message, or invite them to a Zoom meeting or Skype meeting or a GoToMeeting. Really give them the opportunity to learn what you can do for them, whether they want to move forward today or if they put it off, until this crisis has subsided.
Yeah.
Either way, build those opportunities today. Continue to engage people on social media. In fact, probably more than ever. Go Facebook Live. Add things to your Instagram story. Share what you do and how you can help alleviate some of their pain in LinkedIn. Go to Twitter. Give an update. I mean, the point is stay visible. Continue to communicate. Continue to build your sphere of influence. And make sure that you're working your CRM. If you don't have a CRM, a customer relationship management program, that now is a great time at business owners, leaders, to begin looking at implementing something, because that is, in a lot of ways, the backbone of a healthy business.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, there's no way for you to, and it really does amaze me how many businesses don't have a really good sales and marketing CRM scenario. Now, ours has full marketing automation associated with the CRM system, which we highly recommend, and we can demo that for you and show you those types of things in order for you to go out there and make some really good educated decisions on what you would like. If you would like for us to, we'd be happy to do that. But I can tell you, without a CRM system, how in the world are you keeping up with all of the people who inquires and doesn't buy right now?
Right.
And what we're suggesting is you as a consumer do that. Like, figure things out of what you want to do later on if you're not in a position to buy and purchase right now. And so we're sitting here saying consumers should be doing that, and I know that they are. And you as a business, if you don't have a way to stay connected with those people, then you're really, really missing the boat. So, yeah, I would definitely agree. And then once you get that, then make sure that you're communicating. We talked a lot about communicating up top, but communicating is no matter if you're B2C or B2B. And so communicating via email, text messaging, things of that nature, to stay in touch, find out how they're doing, find out how their businesses are doing. They might have some ideas. I know that their marketing companies, or whether they're outsourced or internal, I know that they certainly are. This is all they're doing. This is all they're concentrating on, is how to generate new opportunities and new revenue. So they're certainly doing that. What's some other types of ways that you could do things like that?
Yeah, another thing, Matt, is social listening. Like, actually pay attention to what your audience is saying, what their concerns are, especially as it relates to the products or services that you offer that can speak in or help alleviate some of the pain they may have already been experiencing, and maybe now they have enough time to slow down just enough to actually place some attention on it. So there's in Facebook, there's groups, private groups that you can join. A lot of associations have groups. Go engage in those forums online. So go and find what people are talking about as it relates to your business, and then be a voice in that. Participate in the conversation. You're going to uncover not only some opportunities, some relationships that you could gain, but more importantly, you're going to learn what really matters to them. Because a lot of times what we hear is organizations just like to make assumptions on what their customers need. In fact, oftentimes what we see is organizations will come out with a product or service, and then they try and find an audience that will fit, instead of finding the right audience and then understanding what their true needs are, and then finding a way to truly meet that need. So this is an opportunity for you to slow down just enough to pay attention,
right, and
listen.
Right. I definitely agree. There's some things that I know people are very interested in. Is like some of the questions that some people asked me just yesterday. How are you keeping your team safe? Like, what steps are you doing in order to keep your team safe? Another question that somebody asked me yesterday is, what are your plans if someone on your team actually got COVID-19?
Yeah.
Like, well, what are you going to do if that happens, right? And then lastly, someone asked me about keeping their teams just mind right, like keeping them moving in a positive direction, keeping them thinking about a positive direction. Mike, what's some of your answers to those types of questions? Like,
Yeah.
I'll give you the first one again. What are we doing to keep our team safe?
Yeah, so that's
talk,
why we're
and talk to us about both work from home and the people who aren't able to. They're still having to go into the office. Like, what can they do?
Yeah, so for us, the majority of our staff, for the most part, is working remotely.
Except
we
right
do
this
have,
second, because we have to be here producing.
Yeah, so we have a
this
handful
show,
of
but-
people here. So the reality is, if you aren't adhering to the social distancing and you're working with your entire team or the majority of your team in an office environment, you're not only putting individual employees and their families and those they come in contact with in jeopardy and at risk, you're really putting your entire team at risk. And so imagine if your entire team got the coronavirus.
Right.
That would shut most companies down completely. And so understanding that, we're being very careful at Splash to make sure that we don't have our entire team in the office.
Right.
And again, most of us are working remotely the majority of the time at this point, outside of, pods of us like in this situation where
Right.
we have to shoot a video. And so, but we're still social distancing. Matt and I are, I think, around 5.5 or 6 feet apart as we are talking here. Our video crew is has much greater distance from us than that. So if one of those guys has it, then I think I'll be safe. But
Y'all just don't sneeze our way or
Right.
cough our way or anything of that nature.
I think the next question, so that's what we're doing. We're social distancing.
Yeah, I mean,
and
we're
encouraging
doing
it.
exactly what a lot of the government, federal government, state
Yep.
government, local government is asking us to do. Is we're trying to lower the curve, right?
Yeah, Matt, yesterday I was in the office the majority of the day solo.
Yeah.
And even still, I have now established the practice of wiping down even the door handles that I know I'm the only one that touched all day with Lysol 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah.
If you're in a higher traffic area, even at home, if you're in a higher traffic area, wipe those things off. I thought about we check the mail. We have the UPS, deliveries. Well, all those packages have been handled by a variety of people, and my understanding is some of those germs can spread, through packaging. So
Yeah, that's I know that in manufacturing, one of our clients asked us what they could do, and our suggestion is to stand out, have someone in HR stand out front and take everybody's temperature. That's perfectly legal to do that right now.
Right.
Is to make sure you're not putting anybody else in jeopardy. Hey, listen, we'll produce a good bit more of this content and put on our website. You can go to thebrainstormradio.com and subscribe to our podcast. Thanks for listening today to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.